Dallas Cowboys fans have been waiting for answers ever since the free agency window opened. And now that the first wave of moves is behind us, it is finally time to take a step back and evaluate everything that has happened. Over the past several days, the front office has been active in different ways, making signings, executing trades, and trying to reshape certain parts of the roster. Some decisions were expected, others came as a surprise, and a few sparked plenty of debate among fans who are wondering whether the team truly improved. The question everyone keeps asking is simple. Did the Cowboys actually take a step forward with these moves, or did they just shuffle pieces around without truly changing the outlook for the upcoming season? Free agency is always a tricky period in the National Football League. Teams often spend aggressively, hoping to patch weaknesses quickly, while others try to stay disciplined and avoid contracts that could hurt them later. The Cowboys, historically, have preferred the second approach. Instead of diving headfirst into the biggest names on the market, they usually focus on retaining their own players and filling gaps with calculated additions. This year, however, there was a lot of anticipation that things might be different. Many believed the organization would open up the budget and chase more outside talent than usual. The result so far has been a mix of familiar strategy and a few moves that signal at least a slight shift in philosophy. One of the earliest decisions came before the official free agency frenzy even began, when the team secured Javonte Williams on a new contract. The agreement runs for 3 seasons and is valued at $24 million, a deal that immediately caught attention because of the timing. Locking in a player before the market opens can often signal confidence from the front office, and in this case, it felt like the Cowboys wanted stability in a key position group. Williams has shown flashes of being a reliable contributor, and the structure of the deal suggests the team believes his best football might still be ahead of him. The move also showed a sense of urgency that fans do not always associate with Dallas during this time of year. Rather than waiting to see how the market unfolded, they acted early and secured a player they clearly value. While running back contracts across the league have been trending downward compared to other positions, the Cowboys still made sure to keep someone they trust in the rotation. The number itself is not considered massive by league standards, but it represents a commitment to maintaining depth and consistency in the offense. Another headline-grabbing moment came through the trade that brought Rashawn Gary into the conversation. The Cowboys acquired him through a deal that included a future 4th-round selection, while the player agreed to restructure his contract in a way that effectively reduced his salary. Moves like this can be fascinating because they blend risk with opportunity. On one hand, Dallas is betting on Gary's ability to become an impactful presence along the edge of the defensive front. On the other hand, they managed to do it without completely overwhelming their financial structure thanks to the pay adjustment. The coaching staff clearly believes Gary can bring something valuable to the defense, especially when it comes to applying pressure on opposing quarterbacks. In today's league, having multiple pass rushers who can disrupt the pocket is essential, and Dallas has been searching for ways to reinforce that aspect of their identity. If Gary delivers the kind of production the team expects, the move could end up looking like one of the more important decisions of the offseason. Perhaps the most talked about signing among outside additions is the arrival of Jalen Thompson. The defensive back agreed to a 3-year contract worth $33 million, making him one of the most significant outside free agent acquisitions the Cowboys have made in quite some time. That alone tells you how serious the organization is about improving the secondary. The safety position has become increasingly important in modern defensive schemes, especially with offenses spreading the field and forcing defenders to cover more ground. Thompson's versatility appears to be a major factor behind the decision. He has the ability to line up in multiple spots, giving the coaching staff flexibility depending on the situation. Whether playing deep coverage or sliding closer to the line to handle slot responsibilities, his presence could allow the defense to disguise looks more effectively. For a unit that is constantly trying to adapt to evolving offensive systems across the league, that kind of flexibility is extremely valuable. Beyond the headline moves, the Cowboys also focused on reinforcing depth across the roster. Sam Williams returned on a 1-year contract that could reach up to $3 million, depending on incentives. Short-term agreements like this often serve as prove-it opportunities for players who still have something to show. The team clearly believes there is untapped potential there, even though the results so far have been inconsistent. Giving him another chance suggests the coaching staff still sees traits worth developing. In the secondary, another addition arrived with the signing of a veteran safety on a one-year agreement that includes performance-based incentives. Depth in the defensive backfield can never be taken for granted, especially considering how frequently injuries impact that area during a long season. Adding experienced players who understand different schemes can provide insurance, while also pushing younger defenders to elevate their performance during training camp. There are also several smaller deals involving players who may not dominate headlines, but still play meaningful roles on a complete roster. Defensive line depth received attention through a one-year contract for a lineman known for doing the physical work that rarely shows up on highlight reels. Every defense needs players willing to occupy blockers and create opportunities for teammates, and those types of signings often become more appreciated once the season begins. Quarterback depth was another topic addressed with a short-term agreement for a passer who could compete for a backup role. While the spotlight always shines on the starter, the importance of a reliable second option cannot be overstated in a league where injuries can suddenly change everything. Competition in that room will likely be one of the quiet storylines to follow as the offseason program unfolds. At the same time, the Cowboys made difficult decisions that resulted in certain players leaving the organization through trades. Moving defensive linemen and reshaping that position group has sparked plenty of discussion about the long-term vision for the front seven. When teams part ways with familiar names, it often signals a broader shift in strategy, and that appears to be the case here as Dallas evaluates how it wants the defensive line to function moving forward. One of those moves involved adding a defensive lineman known more for physicality and discipline than for flashy statistics. Players like this rarely pile up sacks or tackles for loss, yet they perform essential work that allows the rest of the defensive front to operate more effectively. When a lineman consistently occupies blockers, it opens opportunities for edge rushers and linebackers to make plays in the backfield. That kind of contribution can easily go unnoticed by casual viewers, but coaching staffs value it immensely. The Cowboys clearly wanted someone capable of handling that role, especially after some of the departures that reshaped the defensive interior earlier in the offseason. Another intriguing decision came with the addition of a quarterback who now enters the mix as part of the competition behind the starter. Backup quarterbacks rarely receive much attention during the offseason, but they become incredibly important if circumstances force them into action. Dallas has experienced firsthand how quickly injuries can change the course of a season, which explains why the organization continues to explore options that could stabilize that position group. Bringing in another arm creates competition during training camp, and competition almost always leads to improvement. There were also moves involving players who previously spent time with the franchise and are now returning for another opportunity. Reuniting with familiar faces can sometimes be beneficial because those players already understand the culture inside the locker room and the expectations of the coaching staff. That familiarity allows them to integrate quickly without needing a long adjustment period. When a team is trying to build depth without overspending, these types of reunions can make a lot of sense. However, the offseason has not only been about additions. The Cowboys also made decisions that resulted in notable departures, particularly along the defensive line. Trading away players from that group created space, both financially and structurally, but it also raised questions about how the unit will look when the season begins. Letting go of defensive linemen who have contributed in previous years is never a simple choice, and it usually reflects a larger vision about the direction of the defense. One of the key trades sent a defensive tackle to another team in exchange for a future draft selection. From a strategic standpoint, the move suggests Dallas is willing to accumulate draft capital while simultaneously reshaping the identity of the defensive front. Draft picks provide flexibility, allowing teams to invest in younger talent that can develop over time. Still, whenever a productive player leaves, fans naturally wonder whether the replacement plan will truly deliver the same impact. Another move involving the defensive line generated even more debate because it appeared primarily motivated by financial considerations. Moving a veteran in exchange for a late round adjustment in the draft order does not necessarily transform the roster in an obvious way. Instead, it signals that the organization is prioritizing long-term flexibility over immediate continuity. Decisions like that often spark mixed reactions among supporters, especially when the team already faces questions about depth at certain positions. The secondary, on the other hand, appears to be an area where the Cowboys have made a deliberate effort to strengthen competition. Beyond the headline signing of a starting caliber safety, the team also brought in a cornerback who could potentially step into meaningful playing time if needed. Adding a corner with starting experience provides insurance in a position group that has dealt with injuries in the past. The ability to rely on a dependable backup can make a significant difference over the course of 17 games. What makes that particular addition interesting is that it represents a slight departure from the typical physical profile Dallas has favored in previous years. Historically, the Cowboys have leaned toward defensive backs with longer frames and greater wingspans. By bringing in a corner who does not necessarily fit that traditional mold, the front office is showing a willingness to prioritize instincts and technique rather than purely physical measurements. That shift could indicate a broader evolution in how the team evaluates defensive backs under the current coaching philosophy. Elsewhere on the roster, the Cowboys continue to reinforce the offensive line with depth signings that may not command national attention but still matter in the grand scheme. Offensive linemen often develop gradually, and having multiple players capable of stepping in when injuries occur is essential. The coaching staff appears committed to building a rotation that can withstand the physical toll of an entire season. At tight end, another low-cost addition provides extra flexibility for offensive packages. While he may initially project as a depth player, those types of signings sometimes turn into pleasant surprises once the preseason unfolds. Coaches value versatility at that position, especially when designing formations that create mismatches against opposing defenses. Looking at the entire collection of moves together, the Cowboys seem to have followed a strategy centered on measured improvement rather than dramatic transformation. They did spend more money on outside talent than they typically have in recent seasons, but the spending remained controlled and targeted. Instead of chasing the biggest available names, the organization focused on players who fit specific roles within the system. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers around Dallas have begun to grow louder, and inside league circles a new name is suddenly being linked to the Cowboys' defensive ambitions: Trey Hendrickson. Sources close to the situation suggest the front office has quietly evaluated the possibility of bringing the standout edge rusher to Texas. Nothing is official, and no deal appears imminent, but the mere idea of Hendrickson wearing the star has already sparked debate across the NFL landscape. The Cowboys have long relied on an aggressive pass rush as the backbone of their defensive identity. Adding a relentless edge presence like Hendrickson could elevate that philosophy to another level. Known for his motor, quick first step, and ability to disrupt quarterbacks in critical moments, Hendrickson has built a reputation as one of the league's most productive pass rushers in recent seasons. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next